I'm just gonna be on here and just talking about how there wasn't even a third, like a third installment of Manhunt because too many dweebs. Yeah, I said it. Too many dweebs were playing like Rockstar racing games. So many dweebs are playing those games, and yet a lot of the very popularity at the time, back when I was growing up, is that Manhunt 3 was not going to be made because of competing game franchises. And let's not forget, I will be discussing another game that Rockstar refused to make more games for. And yes, a whole bunch of dweebs were playing racing games, Rockstar racing games, because half of those dweebs aren't very good behind the wheel in real life, and half of the dweebs thought that they could just play a racing game one day, get their license, and then bam, wreck their first car. Trying to be like those fucking racing protagonists in the very Midnight Club series of games. Like, you can't honestly expect me to believe that you or anyone else would be a kindred to eating a bunch of like momentum for said for Manhunt to get a third game, because a lot of dweebs and pearl clutchers, a bunch of idiot pearl clutchers and idiot dweebs, wanted to disrespect the very Manhunt franchise that only had 2 games in the series, which a lot of Manhunt fans are disrespectfully snubbed because of it. Because of pearl clutchers in foreign countries and pearl clutchers here in America, and a bunch of racing game playing dweebs been buying up so many of Rockstar's racing games. And let's not forget, when you eat into one game's momentum about drumming up enough fan base and enough fan support and incentive for another game in the franchise to be made, chances are it was always those dweebs, bunch of racing game playing dweebs, who had to prop up a whole bunch of racing games like they were the Holy Grail. Half of them racing games are fucking boring. I'm just being honest. Need for Speed was one of those Gran Turismo, another one of those. I ain't found one racing game, aside from the Midnight Club series, that was actually fun to play. And half of those racing games were geared towards children. And I'm looking at the Sega and also Mario Kart and also Donkey Kong Racing, like a bunch of children, like rated E based games that were racing games for children that is geared towards children 10 minus, and yet there is like a lot, and I mean a lot, of reasons, and I'm saying this, a lot of reasons why Manhunt 3 wasn't being made back when it was during the PS2's ending life cycle. I mean, the PS2 has been dead for a long time. For 10 years. 10 years of the PlayStation 2 being dead. And let's not forget the very PlayStation 2 was at the end of its life. It was a dying game console. As soon as 2010 rolled around, and in subsequent years following suit, the PS2 was put in the fucking grave. And the popularity of the PlayStation 2 died. The PlayStation 2 came out in the early 2000s. And I'm just saying, it came out in the early 2000s. And the PS2 almost had 2 good decades. Almost two good decades. Same with the PlayStation 1. Almost 2 good strong decades. But we all know that the PlayStation 2 came out and the PlayStation 1 died upon the birth of the PlayStation 2. And the PlayStation 2, for the longest time, from the year 2001 all the way to the year 2013, bam! Dominance! And then when the PlayStation 3 came out, bam! That console dominated the market. And then the PlayStation 4 came out, bam! That console dominated the market for the longest time. And now we got the PlayStation 5. We got the PlayStation 5 right now, and it's dominating the fuck out of the market right now. And here's the thing. 2, and I mean 2 PlayStation console generations, and still no Hitman, not Hitman, but the very game console dominated 2 and done game known as Manhunt. Manhunt 3 didn't come out on PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4. Rockstar had all that time to prop up Bully 2, Manhunt 3, Agent, but they wound up pissing in the wind with Red Dead Redemption. Another game dweebs have propped up because they were too damn scared. Too damn scared of the very nature of Manhunt. Because if Manhunt 3 was to come out during 2 console generations of PlayStation exclusives, there would be a lot. And then don't get me started on those Max Payne dweebs. Max Payne? Seriously? A noir cop comic type of game? Hello? Only dweebs would prop up a comic noir cop drama game, or a racing game, or a 6-shooter and 10-gallon hat wearing game. Only dweebs would have propped up those games. And let's not forget, there hasn't been another Midnight Club game in years. The only noteworthy Midnight Club games that were big and popular was Midnight Club LA, which took place in California, and Midnight Club Double Edition, which took place in San Diego. Those 3 franchises were the biggest biggest push by a bunch of dweebs who didn't want Bully 2 or Manhunt 3 to be the very games to be like made, because they were buying Max Payne games, because they were buying a bunch of Midnight Club games, because they were buying bunch of Red Dead Redemption games. And I am not a fan of Red Dead Redemption. Red Dead Redemption would have never gotten this far without Red Dead Revolver. Red Dead Revolver is canon to the Red Dead franchise. Without Red Dead Revolver, Red Dead Redemption would have never happened. And I'm just saying, I'm speaking from my observation. Now, I'm not yelling. I'm just speaking the truth as loud as I can to let people know, to like make it clear. I was never a fan of the Red Dead franchise, and the only game of the Red Dead franchise that was actually mildly entertaining was Red Dead Revolver. And even that game had its very drawbacks. The boss fights, the draw quick time event, on the train. That was a big abysmal type of crap. And don't get me started on the Max Payne series. It was abysmal and contrived. Like, who wants to hear a cop noir comic-based game being narrated by the main character? If I wanted to hear like that kind of level of narration from the main character, I'd much prefer it to not be a cop noir comic book style game. And LA Noire was also Rockstar's abysmal flop. There is way too many things going wrong with this picture here. Other games were eating into the momentum of Bully and Manhunt. And don't get me started on the flop from the very beginning, before it was even developed and released. Games such as Agent, which would have been Rockstar's type of game that they would have made, and there was rumors about it supposed to get made, but those rumors were not vascularly popular of rumors, and they fell on deaf's ear. And Agent would have been like Hitman or something like that. I'm not entirely sure, because if that game were to have been made, it would have been just another one and done game like Bully. But Bully 2 did not get made. I'll get into that a little later on, but right now we're talking about Manhunt. Manhunt 3 wasn't made because of too many pearl clutchers and dweebs out there that have a problem with it. And I, for one, am looking forward to seeing the end and the very death of the Red Dead franchise. A violent, brutal, cold-blooded death of that franchise, giving birth to Bully 2, Manhunt 3. Finally bringing those two games out of retirement and finally make more games for those series. Because honestly, I'm not about the Red Dead fandom. The only flagship series that Rockstar keeps on milking is the Grand Theft Auto series. Hasn't Rockstar realized franchise fatigue and no one being interested in Grand Theft Auto anymore? The low red bullshit from the GTA Online crap back in 2008 and now in 2013 was abysmal. The GTA Online aspect of GTA 4 was abysmal. and the GTA Online aspect of GTA 5 was crap. Woke crap. And don't get me started on this new GTA 6 that is alleged to be coming out this year or next year. Honestly, I don't care. GTA fatigue has set in. Back in Rockstar's prime, GTA was a sought-after game franchise. Started back in the PS1 era. Back in the top-down era, GTA 1, GTA London 1969, 1961, GTA 2. Yeah. Back in the heyday, back in Rockstar's prime, when they first started out with the Grand Theft Auto series, Grand Theft Auto 1 was a game that got so underrated back in the day because there wasn't enough like media coverage for the game. And then bam, GTA London 1969 and 1961, which was a game that came out between GTA 1 and GTA 2, and then GTA 2 came out. 3 GTA games for the PlayStation 1, and that was all the PlayStation 1 got in terms of Grand Theft Auto games. And then, let's not forget, when the PlayStation 2 came out, BAM! Grand Theft Auto 3. The first ever 3D Grand Theft Auto game that came out back in the day in 2001. Big surprise there. And then GTA Vice City came out in 2002. GTA San Andreas came out in 2004. And GTA Liberty City Stories came out in 2005. Then GTA Vice City Stories came out in 2007 or something. And that's kind of how that is. And I'm just saying. And also, let's not forget, when the first Manhunt game came out, from Pearl Clutchers, and from those dweebs, Pearl Clutchers and dweebs killed all momentum for the third game in the franchise. Oh, we can't have Manhunt become a big franchise that overtakes Grand Theft Auto because it's overly violent, extreme aggressive, over the limit violence from the first game and the second game. And pearl clutching organizations in other countries would be like, Oh, we can't have this game being popular, warranting a third game in this series. Why don't we just boycott and ban the game outright? Yeah. Said no one who had the common sense to differentiate inciting violence and narrative storytelling in a game as such. And don't get me started on Bully. The whole Jack Thompson situation back in the day. Oh, we can't have Bully. We can't have Bully because of it being like a Columbine simulator type of bullshit. Bear in mind, Columbine happened in the late 80s, early 90s. A full almost 20 years before Bully was ever made. 2.5 decades before Bully was ever made. So that was a dated reference before Bully ever got made. There's been a lot of controversial games all throughout the 80s, all throughout the 90s that got canceled because they were either too graphic or too violent or just straight up inappropriate to be playing. And that is the truth. The whole Columbine thing happened in the 90s, almost in the late 80s, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah. Somewhere in the 80s or somewhere in the 90s, the Columbine situation was very bad. But that was dated. Like 6 or 7, maybe 8 or maybe 9 years. Maybe 10 years out of date. As a reference. So the Columbine simulator thing did not hold up. It did not hold up at all in the court of law. Jack Thompson lost his, officially and permanently lost his journalism license and was blacklisted from journalism for good. And don't get me started on the very journalism that happened. Like, he was trying to do hit pieces against Bully, and the judge played Bully and found nothing wrong with the game. Despite what Jack Thompson and those pearl clutchers protested about, the judge ruled in favor of Bully because it wasn't a so-called proclaimed Columbine simulator, because the Columbine reference was 10 years out of date. Was 10 years out of date as a reference and comparativeness. It was 10 years out of date. And 3 or 4 years, I'm just saying, 3 or 4 years prior to 2005, when Bully was made and published and developed and sold. We all know that the Columbine reference and comparison was 10 years out of date, 4 years prior to Bully's release and manufacturing of said game. And then the whole snuff film thing. Don't get me started on that shit. Manhunt was an in-game universe snuff film ring. And that was the whole premise and the whole narrative of the first game. And then a government Illuminati conspiracy premise of the second game. It was parodying the MK Ultra shit. And the whole thing about Manhunt 1 was parodying the snuff films of the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and even in the 90s. And yet back in the day, if I'm not mistaken, the snuff films from 1960 to 1999, those snuff film rings were shut down. And have been shut down. And Manhunt was parodying a 40-year criminal trend of snuff of being kidnapped and forced to play a part in snuff films. And Manhunt 2 was parodying the criminally insane and criminally induced treatments of the whole MK Ultra shit. It was a parody of real world atrocities. It wasn't glorifying shit. It was parodying what was common practice decades past. And if we had the well, we would have had like Manhunt 3 parodying whatever socio-economic or socio-political or geopolitical, socio-political shit of the past 20 years, from 2000 all the way up until 2019, parodying all the awful things police were doing, all the awful things happening, unlawful deportations of the past 20 years, people illegally getting here into America, we would have saw a serious, like a serious parody of, or said crap that has been going on for 20 years now in Manhunt 3. Would have made fun of the woke liberal crowd. Had like several liberal gangs paying homage to the first Manhunt game where you had to take out a bunch of unsavory criminal groups. And we would have seen liberals, we would have seen pro-Israel groups unfairly represented as the bad guys as one of those bad evil gangs in the third Manhunt game. If the third Manhunt game were to have been, made today, we would have seen like factions within the LGBTQ community, a feminist organization being the main bad guys, and on top of that, some Israelite mafia, some Jewish Israelite mafia being treated as the main antagonist organization, and the protagonist finally wipes out the leader, and then we would be seen as misogynistic. Like, in this day and age, a lot of people would see like the fans in the game to be as like, it's misogynistic, it's anti-Semitic, it's homophobic. And would have seen like the first antagonistic gang of fat ugly people be like, it's fat shaming, body shaming, and beauty shaming, and shallow. Like the same pearl clutching, like buzzwords and buzz terms. It's fatphobic, it's homophobic, it's anti-Semitic. And don't get me started on like a level up, like a Native American criminal group to fight against in the third game. It's culturally insensitive to the Native Americans, and it's racist. Well, you know what? At least there, if the protagonist was a black guy, would it be racist then? If Manhunt 3 had a black protagonist, that would be you being racist against blacks. Just because you're all about, why don't we just respect Cherokee people? Why don't we respect women? Why don't we respect Israelites? Why don't we respect queer people? Well, you know what? We got fat people wanting to get in shape these days. Like, there's been way more fat people wanting to get skinny than supporting body positivity. And we got a lot of LGBTQ people, like a lot of them, and a lot of woke liberal activists of the LGBTQ community and the LGBTQ community in general getting some backlash right now. Who knows? And we got Israel having a lot of backlash. So I wouldn't be surprised if Manhunt 3 comes out at some point in time, if it ever gets made. And a lot of people would be like laughing their ass off because it is parodying what would have been protected groups back in the day. We got so-called Native Americans getting so much hatred right now because of them claiming that America was their land when it really wasn't. And who knows? The main governmental antagonist would have had like we have like ICE. We would have had like a parody of the ICE agents as the main bad guys, and the true villain. The true villain in of himself is the leader of the in-game parody of ICE. But that's just me. I just don't want people to like go flying off at the handle just in case, if and when, and I'm just saying, just in case, if and when, the very like the very Manhunt 3 gets made. And guess what? I wouldn't be surprised if the black protagonist had to be like disabled, like having like whatchamacallits, like insulin shit, helmet on his head, hearing aids in his ears, autistic, and also of special needs, black protagonist that happens to be disabled, autistic, and with Down syndrome, and being black, straight, but yet, if like somebody were to have a problem with that, they'd be ableists and racist and heterophobic and sexist too. But I'm going to get out of here. Leave a like, leave a comment, leave a subscribe, turn on notifications, and share the videos.